Okay, so now apparently we are live. Apparently I'm live on YouTube. I'm looking forward to see that this is the case. So we're going to go to my channel. We're going to take a look and see, am I actually live? Wow, I am actually live. What do I look? So now apparently we are live. There we go. Well, who would have thought that we were live? Now I want to know, where did they hide my chat? Welcome, people. I hope you guys are well. If there's anybody here watching this, then sending you all big love, big blessings. And I hope you guys are all good. So where did they hide my YouTube chat? Learn more. Support Google. Streaming tips. Okay, this is all really much fun. But what we want to know is, why don't I see the stream? Why don't I see it? Where is it gone? Okay, so there's no YouTube chat there at all. Timestamps. Participants. Okay. So there we go. Especially any way to do this is to say, let's do a little test. Let's see if it works. Push high there. Put on a high through there. So we're going to go to our this one and see if that worked. Well, there you go. I'll be damned. Oh, I'll be damned. It worked, ladies and gentlemen. Now, how do we get our Facebook thing to work? So are we looking at this story? How do we go live with Facebook? And are we live with the others? Instagram, TikTok. Where are we live? We're live on OBS Studios. There we go. Now we're going on to TikTok and we're saying, chakras. Not like that, like chakras. Oh, chakras. If you guys are there and I have ignored you, I'm very sorry. Streaming category, home. And start streaming. So there we go. So does that mean we are now streaming to more than one? Settings. Okay, so we don't really know what's going on here with that one. All we're really doing is streaming to YouTube. Okay. Well, that is what it is it not? Let's see what YouTube's doing. Do we have anybody here in the YouTube? 2 people watching. So who's here? Ah, hello. I'm just sorry I've been so disassociated here. Howard, I think it's you there, brother. Big love. I'm just trying to figure out what is going on here. Howard, big love, brother, big love. Just trying to figure out what's going on with my what's going on here with my... Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. It's working. Yay. It's only working for one platform, but it's working nonetheless. So let's get cranking. A little bit of... I don't know how many people are in the room or anything. That's the thing about OBS. Big love. Back to Future BB14. Nice. Namaste. So I was going to have a short little stream about chakras. I wanted to see if I could do multi-stream through this OBS, and I had it rigged up to do it a while ago, but it doesn't seem to be going everywhere. It doesn't seem to be going where I want it. Apparently I'm going to that Instagram place, which is bizarre. What do you know? Or is that Instagram? No, that's not Instagram. But anyway, so chakras, let's get into it. Let's break down this chakra story. I have had a big issue with the way in which people talk about chakras very often in the sort of New Age community. And I don't think it's particularly healthy in the way that people conceptualize chakras. I think that there's a lot of nonsense out there. I had a woman coming to me and yeah, man, bum shiva. This was supposed to be a test, but I figured, well, if I'm going to do a test, I may as well talk about chakras because it's something that's been on my mind. I had somebody asking me, and please, I want you guys to know I'm being serious now. This is going to sound, you're going to be thinking, it's Bush Whisperer being serious. Franklin, what are you up to? I had someone asking me in one of my chats, what do I think about removing chakras? I was like, what? Removing chakras? Yep, it's a thing, apparently. Some New Ager invented this idea of removing chakras. Like, you just remove them. And I was like, no, that's not really what we're talking about, these aren't things that like you keep in your pocket and guess what I found today? I found a chakra. I got a couple of chakras in my pocket. Check these out. These are cool. Like, can I take them? No, you can't take them. They're mine. It doesn't really work like that. Like what chakras are faculties. Faculties with which we connect to reality in the earth plane, right? So you can't actually connect with the earth plane unless you step down this energy, and the vibrational field of consciousness needs to be step down into a bearable load of information, because there's too much information in the cosmic sphere that it could melt the world. Think of it like that as a metaphor. So you've got to sort of step it down into like bite-sized chunks of information. Ooh, dogs are up to something. That can be processed in the physical reality. Yeah. No, this is a real conversation someone had with me. Microcosmic orbit. Nice. Yeah, the microcosmic orbit's a lot of... that's a beautiful story in itself. But, and I suppose we'll get to that because it's got to do with the rotational axis of energy. So... yeah, this is a real thing, man. And this woman was like convinced that no, you can have your chakras removed. And I was like, no, that's not a thing. She was like, no, it's a thing. I was like, okay, I'm not going to make a big argument about this. If they want to believe they can have chakras removed. Apparently, you're supposed to have your chakras removed. So, what are chakras? Chakras are vortices of energy and fields of resonance through which we can stream information, and that information that we're streaming through these chakras are the substance of our bodies and realities that we're living in. And so if you're in this reality, you are streaming it through these chakras, whether you know they're there, whether somebody has come and removed your chakras. All they've done probably is they've done something to repress your attention or repress your awareness of the chakra. That can be done, sure. Or help you to suppress the knowledge or experience or cognizance that you have these fields of energy, and these vortices of spinning energy are basically moving through the body. And there's very interesting, like somebody mentioned the microcosmic orbit, right? Back to future, and they hid this stuff from us so well that it makes sense to want out your head in the sand. Yeah, people wanted their heads in the sand. That's a sad reality. So we've got these vortices of energy. And essentially we've got like, this is my left hand. This is my right hand. Does that look right on the screen? Yeah, it does look right. Sometimes I invert the screen and the left is the right and the right is the left. It gets confusing. So you've got, as the magician shows you on the magician card, right? It shows you very clearly that you've got this rising current on the right hand side, right? And this descending current on the left hand side. And these two currents are your energy currents. So you can imagine a wheel that's going like this, right? And you're in the center of this wheel. And it's spinning like this, right? Then you've also got a wheel in the front, which is going down the front and coming over the back. So you've also got a wheel doing this, right? So you've got two wheels of energy. And you are standing in a frontwards vortex of energy that's moving like that. And a sideways vortex of energy that's moving like that. And then these two vortices of energy produce convergence of the two spinning fields, right? So this spinning field and this spinning field, right, produces a field of energy that comes up, right? It moves up, like imagine a spiral, right? We've got forward moving him in a way that they spin, right? In this way. So this upward current running up through the right-hand side of your body produces a pressure of energy moving up here. This produces the energy moving down here. And so there's a convergence at the front where you've got an upward movement, a downward movement, and in front of you, an extra downward movement. Yeah? So, namaste, Corby. How you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're well. Namaste, namaste. So you've got these vortices of energy flowing in this way. And it produces a spiral that runs up your body. Because of these different forces fighting against each other, it reflects the spiral. And so you then have the spirals running up and down your body. And you're like in this tube, right? And the one is negative, receptive. The one is positive, projective, obviously. And then you've got energy that is receptive to your right foot and projective from your left foot. So your left foot is projecting energy out, downwards, and your right foot is pulling energy upwards, right? So the right foot pulling the energy upwards, up the right side of the body, the front pushing down, and the back pulling up, causes the energy moving up the right side to be pulled up the back, right? While being moved that way with that energy field. And it wraps around you like a cocoon. I want you to imagine it. So you've got this cocoon, this spiral, that spirals up from the ground, upwards around your head, and it produces this sort of egg, this sheath, this energy field that you're in. And these vortices are moving. Now, these vortices are centered, and in certain points within your hormonal field, you're generating particular frequencies because those hormones are a reflection of the frequencies of chakras. Now, obviously, like you're going to hear people trying to equate Sephirot to chakras, but they're not the same, right? You can't plot the chakras on the Sephirot table. You can't. You can say that there's a equivalent relevance to the two, right? But they are not the same. Where your Sephirot are your central nervous systems. You've got 2 points under your armpits, pressure points, 2 pressure points around your hips, in the front points of your hips here, you've got these 2 pressure points, right? You've got the 2 pressure points here, either side of the brain, right? You've got the pressure point here, You got the pressure point in the center of your body. It's a kill point in martial arts, like where the rib cage meets. In Vedic cosmology, we talk about the Hrit Padma, and the Hrit Padma is just below the Anahata, the heart chakra, and it's sort of a part of the heart chakra. So that Hrit Padma is a point which is a nervous ganglia, which is where your rib cage does this, where your rib make like a little triangular point. Right inside there, about an inch down, there's this very sensitive point. It's a kill point. And that is where you've got your true solar plexus, right? And it's basically it's a nervous junction. In the same way you got nervous junctions under your armpits, pressure points, and at the base of your spine in your groin, underneath your that there's a point there you can find it. You sit on it when you're sitting in meditation asana. And then you've got pressure points on the bottom of your feet that are aligned with the pressure point behind your knee. So those are the Sefirot, right? There's one which contains the feet and the points behind your knees. Then there's two, the pressure points on either side of the hip, a pressure point underneath your, behind your scrotum area, right? The perennial pressure point. Then you got the pressure point of the solar plexus, the true solar plexus, not Manipura chakra as they write it up in the books, but the true one, which is that point attached to the bottom of the heart. It's like a vacuum, but there's a nervous system there. And then these two, armpits, right? And then you've got another pressure point here, which is underneath your larynx, of course. And then these three pressure points. So those are the 10 Sefirot in the Kabbalistic tree of life. They're very different to the chakra. It's chalk and cheese. These have got to do with managing your central nervous system. You know, left side of brain, right side of brain. This which contains the pituitary and the pineal glands, and this which is your point where the vagus nerve crosses, right? The vagus nerve crossing. So these are nerve points related to like more related to Chinese acupuncture points than to hormone generating points specifically. Well, that's not the Manipura. That's called the Hrit Padma. They do have a chakra that's associated with that, but the chakras are glands. So when we talk about the chakras, we're talking about the hormones. When we talk about the Sefirot, we're talking about the nervous system, and that they are like quite different. Now, the nervous system works in conduit with the hormonal system, so they work side by side together like two hands, you know, or 2 feet pedaling a set of pedals. So, you know that elephant Ganesha behind me? Yeah? Very proud of this. Very, very proud of this. That's my girlfriend's art. Isn't that amazing? Eh? Isn't that beautiful? So it's a beautiful Ganesha, and it was made by my girlfriend. She's an amazing artist, and she made that for me. And the one next to it, my son did a piece of art and then he painted over it, little bugger. But I kept it anyway, sentimental. I see things in it. There's the corner of a piece of my little boy playing with paints, making beautiful pictures. But yeah, that Ganesha behind me is my girlfriend's handiwork. She did it for me like maybe a bit more than a year ago. So yeah, so now the chakra, and this is what I wanted to talk about, the chakra as opposed to the Sefirot. We will deal with the Sefirot on another discussion. So the chakra are the are the hormonal centers. Now hormonal centers are to do with energy, where the central nervous system is to do with information. So that's coding the information into structures, thought forms. The chakras are changing hormonal states to produce different shifts of energy in the physical body, which is like the emotions. So when we're talking about the chakras, we're talking about the emotions specifically, you know. And sure, you know, the for example, right, you'll hear everybody talking about the third eye being the pineal gland. Well, it's not wrong, but it's not true. Because the third eye contains 2 petals, right? It's a sphere with 2 petals on it. And the Vesicus Pisces is the... Namaste, Star. How are you doing? Hope you're good. Hope you're well. So the Vesicus Pisces are the 2 petals. And the one petal represents the pituitary gland and the other petal represents the pineal gland. And these represent the hormonal triggers that interact directly with your central nervous system through the pineal, and the hormonal triggers that interact directly with your hormonal system. So this is where your central nervous system and your hormonal system meet, is in the third eye, in the Ajna chakra. So that has got an oversight, if you will, to be able to tune and affect through all the sephirot what is happening in the chakras. But they are fundamentally different, but they aren't different in what they affect, right? If you work with the chakras, you're tuning the sephirot and vice versa. So, hey, I hope you guys are well. You guys back for more, hey? We were talking earlier with Shinobi. Anyway, this is a slightly different topic. So getting back to the chakras. So you've got your perineum, right? And this relates to your hormones that bring your blood and your body into your physical systems directly, into your earth element. And so you've got your sacral plexus. Now the men and the women are a little bit different, right? Because your adrenal glands are wired in. And they are connected, even though they're in your kidneys up here. They're wired in to that point. Hence, there's this connection with, for example, the kidneys and blood moving around your body, and sex. And the kidneys rule over fear in the body, and the liver rules over anger in the body. So the liver and the kidneys are both important glands, but they're not specifically managing that. So you've got the glands at the base of the spine. We're talking about the gonads, right? But these are wired in to these other glands. So they're not completely separate as systems, but they are particular towards that. The woman has her ovaries, which are in a different... The ovaries are the Svadhisthana chakra. So the women ground their energy in the Svadhisthana chakra, where the men ground their energy in the Muladhara chakra, which is the root chakra. So that root chakra is to do with the hormones that relate to practicality and being driven with being anal, right? Now, when you're afraid, your anal chakra does this, right? So your anus can literally open up and close if you're like really afraid, right? Like, for example, if you like suddenly walk and step over a cliff and you find yourself falling, your anus might start doing this. and so this has got to do with the activity of the kidneys and the relationship between the kidneys and the gonads, for example. And sex and anger affecting your sex drive, right? The stress hormones generated can decrease your testosterone, for example. So there's a clear relationship there. And so when we look at the chakras, we're looking at the emotional potential of each sphere of energy. And the key word is energy, where with Sephirot, we're not talking about energy, we're talking about thought structures, thought forms that hold and channel this particular energy in particular ways. So when we are contemplating the 7 centers, and another point I want to say is this notion of this rainbow notion. I'm sure you guys have heard me knock it before. And for those that are new, this red, orange, yellow, we've got to get rid of this nonsense, right? We've just got to get rid of it. We've just got to take it and we've got to throw it in the bin. Just like that. Bam. Get rid of it. Because you can, in theory, work with any energy, any color, any quality. And this is really important to understand, that the chakras are talking about qualities. So colors, tones, sounds, qualities. It's not so much about the form or the structure, it's about the experience, which is an emotionally charged thing, if you think about it. Color, emotion. The tone, sound of someone's voice, it's a feeling, it's an emotion. And so we're talking about the root chakra, and the emotional quality attached to that root chakra is the emotional quality of being anal. I want you to imagine what it means to be anal. Is that emotional structure that makes you want to, everything's got to be done by the book. Everything's got to be right. Everything's got to be slow and step by step. Like, you don't want any deviation from that. But it's the number 4 on the Enneagram. And so we're looking at that fundamental number 4 on the Enneagram that's basically being structured here. And as we recognize, okay, so that's really what we're dealing with here, then we can realize and see why analytical ability is connected to the anus, right? And to be anus is an emotional thing. We don't realize it, but it is most assuredly. There's an emotional pattern that is causing one to be always relying upon the logical, this is how it is. No, that's how it's done. It's like almost a stubbornness. It's the emotion I can describe it as 100% pure stubbornness. And I'm actually going to build myself a website. You know what I use as a website? Most people find me on LinkedIn. So if you go into LinkedIn and you put @Bushwhisperer, that's where you'll find me. And that's what I've used as a website, just because I started using it many years ago, and I found that like a lot of people found me on LinkedIn. So it's sort of like, but I actually need to make a proper website. I made one years ago, and I just sort of didn't see the point of keeping it because I didn't want to put content on it. And people would reach out to me on LinkedIn. I was like, well, what's the point of a website? But I think it's time to make another website, because there's a lot of information I want to put up. But yeah, LinkedIn is a good place to find me. And so that's like stub, born of a stub. We're talking about, stubs, like horns. And then we've got the sacral plexus, which is to do with discretion, essentially. This particular energy. And so it's got to do with the feeling, the instinct of right and wrong. So it's like, it's an engineer of cause and effect. And so it's that feeling of, this doesn't feel right, this feels right. It's a very instinctually led state of consciousness, right? That relates to that particular chakra. And the mental externalization of that particular state is discretion, in the same way that the mental externalization of the stubborn, rigid number 4 emotion is to be analytical, to exercise the anus. Yes, Corby, I've got a moon in Taurus. I've been told I'm very stubborn. So that's like a very rooted and very grounded energy. And then the Svadhisthana is that discretion, that ability to sort of to be able to taste the situation. And then we've got the senses related. So the root chakra is the sense of smell, of course, right? Which is like a real strong connect with the earth. And then the sense of taste is very much related to the sense of smell. They both have to do with instincts, but slightly different instincts. Taste is very much to do with connection, right? To connect with something. So if something's good or bad, you can taste it. Like you taste the food. Nah, that's not fresh. Or tastes like poison. Nah. This girl, she doesn't taste right. Nah, this one tastes right. I'm falling in love with this one. We want to kiss a girl when we meet them, instead for girls with guys, because you want to taste. Is this person right for me? You're exercising your discretion. And based upon that, you will allow your heart to connect or not, And so these two senses are locked into these two lower chakras. I hope you can't hear that nasty woman carrying on with my son. It's his mother. He's naughty, but she just doesn't know how to handle him at all. She just needs to lay it down. She makes a bit of a drama. Not very cool. But anyway, I'm going to go and deal with her in like maybe 10 minutes. I think my son is sort of... he's being cheeky because he knows he can get away with it with her. So anyway, you got these two root chakras, well, the root chakra and the sacral plexus chakra attached to the root. And you can't hear anything. And I'm glad to hear that, because I can hear in the background moaning and moaning and moaning. I'm like, oh gosh, that moaning voice. It's going to make my son switch off. Is she burning food again? She must be burning food. That's what she does. Yeah. It's a good thing I got some frankincense going on here. I gave her a hard time earlier because she was handling meat, and I don't eat meat, so I don't want meat like in my zone, right? And she was dropping meat that she was making for the homeless people on my bar counter, and she wasn't cleaning it off, and I just dropped it on her head like 1,000 tons of like shite. I was like, what's wrong with you? Come on. This is meat. It's being smeared on my bar. I don't want to come here and put my hand on the bar and there's like meat juices on my hands. I really don't like it. Yeah. I'm always burning my frankincense. I love my frankincense. And she winds me up because she's not very hygienic when it comes to dealing with these things, like I think you should be. But that's the four in me, right? That's the anal in me. Because I was taught, I'm a silver service food controller when I was young. When I was like 19, I trained. 21, I was the youngest manager in South Africa of restaurants. So I learned how to handle food like properly, and how to handle fish, and how to handle meat, and how to prepare things. And there's etiquette to it. You don't just mix stuff around and leave the juices of stuff on this and have that touch this and this touch that. Hygiene, it's a big deal for me. So anyway, getting back to the chakra points, but there you get a sense of the kind of emotion that comes with the root chakra, right? It's that anal energy. Like, this is how it's done. It's not done like that. I'm not anal about a lot of things, but I'm anal about my food. When it comes to like my hygiene in my fridge and my food, those are if you've ever known a chef, someone who's been trained as a chef, you'll understand that they're very particular about how food gets handled. You know, there's no messing around with food. And so that's my anal point. And so this Vadhisthana has to do with the discretion, and this discretion is to do with my little boys come to the window to try and get my attention. It's not time. No. He's going to ask me about playing Minecraft. I banned Minecraft for him because he was being naughty with the animals on the weekend. So he hasn't seen or touched these games in some days now. So the joys of being a parent, hey? Phew, it's hard work, man. Especially when they're 9 years old and they're like 9 going 11, you know? So this Vadhisthana, this sacral plexus, and how are you doing, Rob, by the way? Wash my hands. Yeah, I've probably got charcoal on my hands, but charcoal's clean. Because I'm always handling charcoal with my burning things. Oh, you mean wash my hands of the little ones? So yeah, I get this impression that like the way these chakras have been described in the New Age texts, they're sort of really strange. I've never been able to like, what are these people going on about? Well, where did they get this nonsense from? You know? And they probably got it from other books, got it from someone. And I don't know if you know this, but you know the 7 colors of violet going down indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Those colors were invented by a psychologist, right? A Westerner that had very little experience of working with the chakras, just thought these chakra colors are so complicated. Let me simplify it for people. And I'm a Westerner. I've been working with chakras now for a whole 2 years. I'm going to reinvent the system because I know I can. Sort of like when you go to a dojo and you start training in martial arts, you'd be like, I've been training for 2 whole years now. I'm going to reinvent this martial arts style. Like, you're learning from people that were training for 10 years, who was learning from people who were training for 20 years, who was learning from someone who was training for like 35 years, who was learning from someone who was training for like 40, 50 years, like a Shihan, a master or something. So, it's the Western attitude of total, like, I know better. It's part of our curse, I think, in the West, that we tend to think we can do whatever we want. So this psychologist invented this color scale, and it got pushed, and that organization which is connected to the Enneagram organization, what was that called? The human potential organization group, and a group of these psychologists. This psychologist was connected to people connected to this group. They discussed it and they decided, no, this is better. We're going to invent our own system for chakras, like color system. So that color wheel was made up just based upon an easy system that was easy to track, that people could learn easily. They didn't have to think about it. It's just like, it's just the same color wheel we were taught in school, right? And we're just going to apply them to the chakras and just hope for the best. Like, it works well. So, I mean, it's not necessarily harmful, but I'll give you an example. When you put the color red into your root chakra, right? Red is a fiery color. Red implies movement, right? And activity. That's what red means. Red means movement and activity. Orange, the range of light. This is bringing the energy that is implied by yellow into the action that is implied by red. Namaste, Edward. I hope you're well. Hope you're good. Hope you're thriving. So orange is the range of light. It's probably one of the broadest color range spectrums that there is. And it's a very stimulating color. It implies movement. It implies the movement of energy. But it's not necessarily in a state of action like red. But it carries some of that which stimulates the movement. And yellow, which carries the vibration of energy. Because yellow is the most vibrant color that there is. So when we look at the color orange, it's not necessarily the best color to put into this sacral plexus center, right? I mean, it's not necessarily a bad color. The sacral plexus center, which is your discretion, you want it to be a pure energy, right? You want it to be purified. So in the Vedic schools of thought, they would use the color white because discretion, you want it clear. If you want to compare one thing to another thing, do you want to do it on a colorful background or do you want to do it on a clear background that you can see this color from that color distinctly? Just as an example. I mean, it's just common sense really, isn't it? So the color white or the color silver was generally used, and that relates to the element of water in Vedic cosmology, called apas, which is related to the Svadhisthana chakra, which is a sacral plexus chakra. And the color that was traditionally related to the root chakra is the color yellow, right? Yellow is the color related to the earth element called pravritti. So the pravritti element, the earth element, which is related to your smell, is related to the color yellow in traditional sense. And why yellow? Because yellow is very vibrant. It's a vibrant color, and that vibrant color is going to bring that vibrant energy into your body, bringing a lot of vibrant potential, and your vibrantness of yellow is quite an uplifting color as well. It's an uplifting color. It's not as deep and as intense as orange is, or red, right? Red is a color that generates heat. Why would you want to generate heat in your sexual regions? Men, I don't know if you know this, right? Heat in your the Muladhara chakra, it depletes your jing. I want you to understand what we're talking about here. So now we're going to look at Taoist medicine, understand the Chinese medicine behind the story. When you put that intense red action there, it's overbearing, right? The yellow doesn't carry that extreme passionate heat that the red carries, but it carries vibrancy of energy. And so you don't want to generate too much heat in your scrotum area, in the root chakra. It's not good for your sperm count. It's not good for your sex drive. It's not healthy. And it's going to relate, when a man uses red in that center, he's more likely to objectify women because of the heat being put into that center. When you put yellow there, it's a vibrant, jolly up. It's more of a social color. It's more of a like social, active energy, and it's relating to the earth color. The yellow of the earth. And so that yellow then acts as a wonderful way to bring you the energy that you need to that center without overstimulating that center. And the sacral plexus, having the color of silver or the color of white, which were the traditional colors used, would give you that clarity that you require, which is related to this element of discretion. Then the next chakra would be the Manipura chakra, which is the Tejas. Tejas, often related to Agni, though Tejas and Agni are different. Agni represents physical fire, physical element of fire. And Tejas represents the subtle fire. These are two different kinds of fire, right? So the Teja would be wow, I've got the guinea fowls jumping up there doing their thing. They're beautiful. Is an inverted red triangle, in the color red. And red, obviously in the solar plexus. I'm not talking about the true solar plexus. I'm talking about the Manipura. That's the point above your navel, maybe like that far above your navel, right? About that far. Above your navel. And there's an energy center which is very important for digestion of food. So having the fire in this point, that's actually the point in your body where you generate the most fire. And the heat and the energy of the heat, which is used to activate all the metabolism in the body and to digest our food, and so we can break down our food to move the nutrients around the body, is there. So that's the furnace. It's also the root point of the triple burner furnace, which runs up the system, which is your natural instinct, right? And that's your fight or flight natural instinct, to be in tune with natural impulses, right? Something dangerous happens, you get out of the way quickly, kind of thing. And so that's very related to your ability to digest information and digest food. Very important energy center. It's Manipura. And Manipura is like, Mani means gem, Pura means everywhere, all. So it's the gem that's sort of touching everything. Multifaceted gem. Mani. And Mani, the word for gem in Sanskrit, is also related to Ma and Ni. Ma is the Svadhisthana chakra. It's the bij. It's a seed syllable for the element of water. Ma, mother. And Ni is the seed syllable, the bij, for element of earth. So Ni, if you say it, Ni, you'll feel it vibrate down your body through your anus into your perineum. And from there, it will create a point going down to your heels and right down into your feet. Feel quite nice, actually. If you Ni. So when we talk about Mani, Mani, huh? Money. Dun, dun, dun. Think about Pink Floyd, yeah? The notes, the key. There's a reason why they hit those pitches. Is the discretion, and that discretion is a big part of the perception of cause and effect. And what is driving that discretion? This is really important to understand, or how that discretion manifests in the emotional center. Is I'm just gonna ignore that. I'm busy. So how that works is in the center is very much to do with basically Sorry, you see that woman just comes and bangs on the door. She sees I'm busy. She just totally lacks respect, so I just ignore her. Sometimes you just got to keep it real with people so that they can know where the boundaries are. Yeah, exactly. The Manipura, the navel chakra, there's two. There's one that much below and there's one that much above. And they both are sort of what in Taoism is called the upper and the lower Tantin, right? And they're the extremities of the upper and the lower Tantin. And the Manipura would traditionally have been the red triangle. Oh, and I didn't mention that the getting back to the root chakra, it's the number 4, like I said, right? And it's yellow, so it's a yellow square that represents the element of earth, yellow square. So you would visualize a yellow square at the base of your spine, and you would breathe in and breathe out through this yellow square, and that will purify your earth element in your body and strengthen your earth element. And then in your sacral plexus, you could visualize a crescent, the crescent of a moon, and it can be glowing white or it can be silver, and you can breathe in and breathe out through this at that point, and that will replenish your water element in your body. And in the Manipura, this above the navel center, an inverted red triangle, right? And you would imagine that is pouring out fire and heat sensations and energy, subtle heat, into your energy system. And so you would purify your proverbial, your teja energy, your subtle fire. Also, it affects your Agni. And Agni is your actual heat generated in your body. So Agni is also a name of Shiva, right? So there's this interesting connection here. And obviously when you look at this is the pancreas, right? The pancreas is driving the system. Then we go to the heart chakra, which is the Anahata. And the Anahata is the element of Vayu, the element of air. Now, traditionally, the element of air would have been the color blue, like the sky blue, lovely blue, deep blue sky color. At a later stage, they started using the color green as well. I'm not sure how late the color green started getting used, but traditionally it would have been the color blue, because it relates to the element of Vayu, element of air. And why the color blue in the heart? Well, okay, let's go back to the Taoism, right? The organ of the heart, what is its strength? What is its weakness, right? The heart requires peace to thrive as an organ. And the emotion attached to that heart center is one of peace, right? So by having a blue sphere that you're contemplating in this zone and breathing in through the blue sphere and feeling that peaceful blue energy through this blue sphere, you automatically bring the heart to a state of peace, where the heart can become anxious, right? The heart can become, the stress can build up around the heart center, right? And the lungs, sadness, right? The lungs and the heart, they work together as like a synergetic system. And so when you're channeling this, you actually help to alleviate all of these emotions around the heart center and the lungs, because they work in conduit. So that blue helps to relax the heart and helps to make the lungs feel like they're in a state of peace, and brings that peaceful state. And so the breathing gets more peaceful, slower, deeper, and that brings a more superconscious state to the heart center. The fire in the pancreas tunes up the pancreas, gets the metabolism turning so that your body is generating fresh cells and keeping new cells, and the old cells are falling off throughout the body, because the metabolism is driven by the rate of metabolism stimulated by the pancreas and the burning fires in the body that's digesting food, because it's all calibrated. And the white of the purifier in the center of there means that your livers and your kidneys are able to remove the extra fluids, right? And your bladder is able to pull all the fluids out of your body and purify your body with the fluids running through your body, which is your sacral plexus. Yeah. And the yellow at the root brings that energy of light, which is yellow, into your root chakra, bringing vitality to your physical body and giving you the physical energy that you need to be able to move around without getting too much heat generated in your body. And so those are the 4 chakras, the 4 elements, the earth, the water, the fire, and the air. And then we look at the 5th element, which is the element of ether, which is the element of which I call akasha, which is a subtle element, and it's more subtle than the other elements. Air element is more subtle than fire, and fire is more subtle than water, and water is more subtle than earth. So there's a progressive movement towards more subtle elements. And so akasha represents the sphere of your psychic potential. So it's the psychic chakra. It's your mental field. And it would traditionally have been, at later times, it would have been considered to be a black midnight sphere. But in more older times, it would have been considered to be an indigo sphere, right? A sphere of indigo, dark, deep indigo. I want you to imagine the color of the sky after the sun has set and the sky is becoming, it's heading towards dusk. It's not quite dusk yet. And you're sort of experiencing this sort of shift in the energy that is taking you towards this sort of place of deep energy of being sort of mystified. There's that mystical energy that comes along during this. Just want to check and make sure my stream is running okay. There's no issues. Yes, everything's working. Yay! Well, that's good to know. That's very strange, huh? That's very, very strange. It doesn't tell me what's going on here. Anyway, this I'm just going to assume that it's all good. Are you guys, everything's fine, yeah? The audio's good, everything's moving like it should be. Let me know. Those of you that are in the chat, just give me a head up here in the live chat. Just let me know that I'm not talking to myself. That you guys are getting what I'm talking about, that I'm sharing this information with you guys. And so looking at this sort of energy, the way it sort of flows and the way it moves, right, to get a perspective is, I think it's really important for us to grasp this concept, right? Yeah, well, you can use the color blue or you can use the color green. Okay, excellent, you guys. Everything's working as it should be. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm using OBS, Open Source Studio, Open Broadcasting Studio, which I've been wanting to use for so long. I want to stop using StreamYard, and I want to start becoming, an OBS user because I think it's a cool software from what I've heard. It's just a little bit more difficult. You just got to sort of be a little bit more hands-on. It's not so spoon-feedy like StreamYard is, but StreamYard gives me so many issues that, I'm like, well, what's the worth of having it? So, yeah, the blue sphere, the blue circle in the space of the heart will generate a sense of peace around the heart chakra. Just to respond to what you were saying, aligning your heart, the blue color. You can use green as well. Now, I use different colors to these, and I'll explain the colors that I use and why I use them. I'm giving you a sense of the traditional, right? This is what the colors were before that psychologist came and decided to reorganize it. And so, like traditionally in Vedic practices, these colors would be used. They're not the only colors, but this is like a bona fide system that you'll learn from a Guruji who's got lineage from Guruji in India. They won't share with you this notion of red, orange, yellow, all of that jazz. So your indigo sphere here, and indigo is like a very mystical color, right? Do I have an indigo gem here? I don't have an indigo gem here. I do have a really beautiful amethyst, but that's violet. So this element of indigo represents the mystical potential, and that mystical potential energetically is really what we're talking about here, right? And so this chakra represents the mystical chakra. Yeah, I know everybody thinks it's the Ajna chakra. The Ajna chakra is more to do with like full awakening. This is to do with the mystical effects, psychic abilities and such. And that indigo color, which is an egg, represents the indigo. She keeps wagging her tail and knocks. It's like doof, 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 doof. Don't know why she's wagging her tail at me. I wasn't even talking to her. She's my golden retriever. She's such a sweetheart. Now that I'm talking about her, she's just going to keep wagging that tail. I've opened a Pandora's box now. I really shouldn't have done it. I can't help myself. So anyway, this Visuddhi chakra is like a really powerful element, and it's really fundamentally important in the way that it sort of works and the way that it sort of operates. And one can easily become a little bit confused by, the meaning of it. People think that it's not an important chakra. It's fundamental. It's the seat of the soul. It's the seat of the souls in the throat chakra, right? The seat, the root, shall we say, the soul body. And it represents sound, right? Where the heart represents the sense of touch, because it's the skin, squamous epithelial tissue, which is the extension of the lungs, right? And the breath and the heart pumping, and you feel the blood rushing under your skin, and you feel the pulse moving under your skin, right? Touch. And the Visuddhi chakra is the vibrations, rhythms, sound. When you're hearing, you exercising this chakra. So if you want to do a listening exercise, you're stimulating this chakra. If you want to be doing a skin touch meditation, you want to feel how you can become really attuned to the sense of touch, you're using your heart chakra. Vision, eyes, is the Manipura chakra. That's the above the navel, solar plexus, that high above the navel. And that center is related to building images, right? Fire element, light, fire, heat and light are connected. Proverbial fire is where light comes from, right? You want to get a light bulb going, you've got to run a current through it. It's got to generate energy, and that energy has got to be moved to heat, which produces light. These LED lights can generate a lot more light out of a lot less heat. But there's still heat being generated, and there's still light being generated. The ratio from light to heat is greater with LED than with filament bulbs, but there is still the production of heat. It's just a much more efficient burning of heat in order to produce the light. So you get more light out of less heat. That's all. So light is to do with vision, the light that we are, sharing with the world through our eyes. And then, as I mentioned before, the sense of taste for the sacral plexus and the sense of smell for the root chakra. And so meditating on sound, Om Mani Padme Hum. If you're chanting mantras and you're going round and round, that's going to stimulate this chakra, this mantra chakra. And it relates to the purifying center, right, of your mind. So the Svadhisthana is going to purify your body, right? This is going to purify your thoughts, your consciousness, and your mental body with sound. sound baths can purify your thoughts. So that's what it represents. Visuddhi chakra. And then we've got the Ajna chakra. Now the Ajna chakra is the point where the energy rises up the vagus nerve and it gets into the place in the center of your head. And it's like a little keyhole, right? There's like a little gap in your head. And between that gap, you've got your pineal gland, and then you've got your pituitary gland, right? And the pituitary gland and the pineal glands are attached. Obviously, the pineal gland's attached to your thalamus, and the pituitary gland's attached to your hypothalamus. And the pituitary gland manages your feelings, your emotions, emotional currents specifically. The pineal gland tunes and revitalizes and reorganizes the infrastructure of the central nervous system. And so these two are in a state of conduit. And so this mental chakra, higher mental chakra, represents the whole brain function. Being able to utilize both your emotional intelligence and your rational, logical, intuitive intelligence all together in a single sort of structure of consciousness. And this means that you've got more potential neural pathways operating simultaneously. And that means that basically you can figure more things out and be more intelligent, more intellectually oriented, basically higher intellectual faculty, we could say. We would call it that. And hence it relates to the spiritual, because it's the ability, the guru chakra. They call it the guru chakra. It's the chakra of learning. And now this chakra has had different colors used at times. Traditionally, there would have been what is called a translucent blue color that would have been used in this particular chakra. And a translucent blue, or even a kind of a carnelian color would have been used in this chakra. And it's a stimulating chakra. It's a stimulating color. And this would be for balance and harmony. This is the chakra that produces the balance. This is where the two streams of Ida and Pingala meet, and they become a singular stream in the Visuddhi chakra. Though when it gets to the Ajna chakra, it becomes a focus, like a laser. And so one's able to focus that attention, and this becomes the seat of focused attention. It's the control center. There's actually a chakra point here, and there's a chakra point here, and there's a chakra point here, right? Then there's a point here. Then there's a point at the back of the head. If you see where the Brahmins wear their single thread of hair, there's that point out of the back of the head, which is called your Binti chakra, right? Your seed chakra. Sorry, this thing's going on. So that center is like the center of the head, obviously representing whole brain function. As I said before, I'm just muting out all my phone notifications. And the center of the head then represents that central column where the energy is centralized, right? Centralized. And front and back, centralized, right? And so it makes a cross inside your head, right? And then between your Visuddhi and your apex point here, it's centralized once again. And so there's an axis that forms inside your head, producing this field of different vectors of energy. And it produces like a spinning vortex in the center of your head, which you can feel when you meditate. It'll become like a dense, feels like you got a dense object in the center of your head that's like vibrating and becomes more energized the more you focus on it. And if you focus into a central point, into the center of this field, it starts to cause your whole body to vibrate. So that's your Ajna chakra. Now the Shastra chakra you're not supposed to work with. That's the Samadhi chakra. That's chakra which you use when you're preparing yourself to leave the body and you're done. That has typically been either the clear light. as in like colorless light, but also traditionally the 1,000 different color hues of the rainbow, right? And so you would imagine or in some systems, 96 colors. And each petal has a subtly different color. So traditionally 1,000 colors or 96 colors, but the 1,000 colors is, I think, representing what it really represents. All the different qualities that can be brought through into the system is bound within the Sahasrara chakra. And that chakra is related to, where this is related to wisdom and whole brain function, that is related to ecstasy, ecstatic states. So it's really the like expulsion of the physical body when you pass away. And it has to do with the serotonin being released into the blood. So when you use that chakra, you're wasting your serotonin. It's just important to recognize and realize this. The serotonin is there for a reason. And you'll find a lot of these New Age schools, they want to show you that you can have a cool experience. Focus on your crown chakra, you feel the energy moving. Wow, I felt that. Wow, I could feel that. Yeah, that's like a cheap shot. Sorry to say, it's a cheap shot. Even within like some of the systems, AMA system and stuff, they teach you to activate that chakra because it gives you that feeling of vibration and stuff. But that's something that should happen when it's natural and when it's ready. It can actually increase your energy field, rising currents up into the higher chakras, which can cause you to become unbalanced and almost obsessive. So it's not necessarily healthy to use that particular. And so yeah, that's like the traditional sense. How long have I been talking? Let me take a look. I think I gotta go and do some things. Maybe we'll do a chakras part 2. How long have I been? Does it say? Seriously, it doesn't say how long I've been here? Are you kidding me? Okay, 67 minutes. Okay, so it's been more than an hour. I was planning to be within an hour. Okay, that's cool. So maybe for now, I'm going to wrap up the chakras. For now, we'll do a part 2 where we'll break down the 7 hermetic principles and other colors and what other colors you can use and the effects of using other colors and what benefits there are. Like, that's not the only system. And I'm not saying that like everything from the red up to the violet system is wrong. Just to be clear with people, what I'm saying is that whole mindset is a problem because it's such a fixed mindset in people's minds. You can use red in your root chakra if you need it there. But like what's poison for one person, what's medicine for one person could be poison for another person. And so it's important to have an understanding of like there's a traditional system and then there's quite a lot of leeway with it, right? Me personally, I like to use orange, right, in my Ajna chakra, like the range of ore, light, right, and Mercury, right, higher intellectual faculties. Like Mercury sits quite well there. I also agree. Like indigo fits, nothing fits better in the center. Violet for the crown chakra, to me, it doesn't serve a purpose. Root chakra, violet makes a lot more sense for me personally. Because it's vibrant, but it's the complementary color of yellow, you see. So we're looking at complementaries here, and so I like to sometimes use the complementary colors in the chakra. So it's to the colors that we've pointed out here because they have a complementary element. So anyway, for now we'll leave it at that. We'll do a chakras part 2, maybe the day after tomorrow. Hold on. What's tomorrow? Wednesday. Maybe the day after tomorrow. Thursday. Maybe a similar time. Maybe a little bit earlier. I'll tell you what. I'll make a note in my group. Okay? I'll make a note in the group beforehand when I'm planning to do it because I just thought, hey, let's test the software. And I thought, well, I can talk about chakras. It's been on my mind. Anyway, I'm sending you all big love, big blessings. Take it easy. Keep smiling. Don't forget to keep jiving. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys got what you came for.